What's going on, people? Back with another episode of the Reveal podcast. I can't even speak. We got everyone here today. I think Nigel's usually join us a little bit later. I believe he did mention that he was going to come join us, but Nigel's going to be here with us today. But we've got Sam. How you doing, Sam? I'm seeing RIP Diop.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah,
There?
I'm good. I was gonna say, let me just say a quick tribute. Obviously, prayers and thoughts go out to the family of Papa Bouba Diop, who sadly passed away today, age 42. For those that don't know who Diop is, he used to play for Fulham, Portsmouth, West Ham, and Birmingham City. He also scored the first goal at the 2002 World Cup. So yeah, his name's in the history book. So prayers and thoughts go out to his friends and family.
I hear you, bro. Amen to that. Sad news, man. Yeah, 2020 is taken. RIP Maradona as well. When I heard that news, it was that one was like damn as well. Football and icon. I unfortunately didn't have the pleasure of actually watching him play live, but obviously had the pleasure of watching certain shows like, you know, World Cup's greatest moments and all of that kind of stuff. And whenever those shows were on like Sky One or anything like that, whenever they're doing World Cup's greatest moments, Maradona was always like, I don't know, there were 3 or 4 moments in there for him every single time. You know, everyone, we saw his impact. Controversial figure, but loved in the world of football anyway. Ralph, man. Hashtag D1E. Can you please explain your hashtags to us?
That's Diego, man.
Oh,
Diego.
right. Okay, cool. I hear you. I'm seeing D1EG0. I'm like, what?
You got to initiate the 10. 1-0, you know, that's 10. Shout out Maradona.
I like the way you've done that still. Now I see it. I actually see it.
Bad boy. You know, there's rumors. Actually, no, let me not.
He's already about to start.
He's a G. He's a bad boy. He's up as well. You get me, God. Can't forget the man, then.
Roo, you've mentioned a few times that VAR has spoiled your weekend, and I can understand why. Obviously, with the whole thing with Liverpool, and I'm sure we all saw Jurgen Klopp's little. If I was Des Kelly, was it Des Kelly who was interviewed?
Yeah.
I'd have been like you were just getting at him, saying, "Oh yeah, you want to create this that out of me and all that stuff." But yeah, how are you feeling anyway?
Des Kelly poked the wrong bear with the stick, didn't he? That got silly, but yeah, I'm good. We're living in a world where our beautiful game is simulation now. That's become a game of measurements, and it's just
it's not hard to stay on side. I'm joking.
Well, I said it when it came around. Every team was going to have one of those weekends, and that was us. So I just got to move on, I guess.
No, I can appreciate that. I was watching that game yesterday as well, and I thought it's, again, you know, we're kind of measuring badges and all that kind of stuff on football shots. Anyway, Felix, obviously we're watching the Arsenal Wolves game right now. Care to share a few thoughts on that first half?
Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you know about this all, and so no, I can't say anything about that.
Sometimes you just have to say, aha!
Just take it on the chin. And we got Nigel, the final one of the group to join us today. Nigel, how you feeling?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yes, lads. I'm good, man. I'm good. How we doing?
Yeah, you watching the game? You watching the Arsenal game?
Nah, bro. I'm beefing Arsenal right now. They're on the bank. Fam, too much emotions, man. It's too much. I don't want to lose the score neither. Yeah.
You actually don't know what's going on right now.
I have no idea. Nothing.
Oh. I don't know how you're doing that, boy.
Lads, you're making me paro now, bro. I think is it nuts?
It's not nuts. But I was actually supposed to say this off air, but I'll charge everyone today because I was saying it with Felix, like, do you reckon we can do this podcast in under an hour, even if it's 59 minutes?
We can try.
Challenge ourselves. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's say under an hour to knock out this podcast.
Cool.
So I'm not going to waste any more time. I just kind of want to go straight away. One thing that I'm going to see if we can start doing on the bounce of these podcasts is a quick reaction. So obviously today we were seeing Chelsea and Spurs, and I remember Rue messaging in the group chat, there's no way we can sit here and talk about Chelsea Spurs. That was honestly, we'll come to that later on. But anyway, I just kind of thought we could give a quick reaction on Southampton Man United today, because that was a game that I'm not too sure if everyone else was watching. I was watching, and anyway, not very happy with Southampton. But you know, when you have bottle job nature, that's kind of what happens. But I just wanted to get quick thoughts on the game from everyone, starting with Rue. What did you make of that game today?
I'm confused by these two because that's the fifth 3-2 they've played with each other now. They're really, really good at bottling at last minute to United. But yeah, that was fun at least, because Spurs Chelsea really put me in a coma. Like two teams who don't want to drop points desperately, so just parking the bus is boring. Two teams who then just go all hell on each other and score 3-2. You know, that's a hell of a lot more instant. But Cavani was the sort of game changer for me. But anyone who dares say, "Oh, what a signing," and get in the bin, because one good 45-minute cameo does not instantly make him signing of the summer. I'm not having that.
No, that was literally the next thing I was going to ask. I was going to go to Ralph, but yeah, guys, everyone watching, just let us know. As you can see, quick reaction, Southampton, Man United. Just let us know what you thought of that game. But Ralph, Edinson Cavani, a signing that has been absolutely hounded with, you know, just all these comments. He's poor, he's this, he's that, panic buy. But what performance today, right?
Aye, baller, headers, imposing, dominant. I don't know who headers a ball like that, really. Mandzukic is the only person I know. Mandzukic is the only person I know that I'll hit. Mandzukic, Ronaldo, and Cavani, they're just so like dominant in the air. Like when even bottles down to get like on FIFA, he is my super sub, and I'm just knocking crosses in because I know he's winning the header. I ain't even got to press circle. Yeah, but yeah, man, he's a good signing, experience, scores goals. I like to see how he gets on majority of the season. I don't know, maybe he's that performance there will push for him to start getting a few starts in that, because I don't know if they're just trying to ease him into the team, let him settle in, or like their plans with him. But I think it's a decent signing, to be fair. Can't go wrong with Cavani.
Yeah, well performance today. Nigel, I'm coming to you next. Do you believe in the signing?
At first, I thought it was egg on Man United, Man United fans thinking they were big boys by signing Cavani. He scored 3 goals in the lead up to his signing for Manchester United, so I was thinking, I had man them getting excited, but I got to give him. When I watched him against Chelsea when he came on, he looked sharp, and obviously I ain't watched the game today. But I mean, coming on at halftime and scoring 2 goals, he must be doing something right now. So don't get me wrong, Cavani's cold, but I don't know. We'll see in it. There's still more games to come. I'm not jumping on the hype train. I still think Man United are a bit suspect. You can't be going 2-0 down anyways, but we move.
Understandable. I know Felix, you didn't have time to watch the game today. You're a bit busy, so
nah. I could say something.
Okay, yeah, you can drop. Yeah, drop what you.
I'll kind of just piggyback off what Big Nige said. Pretty much with Cavani is that, you know, obviously earlier on when the season started, I jokingly put him into my top 3 transfers of the summer. I really hope that doesn't come back to bite me, but
you didn't put him in your transfers of the summer. You said it was a joke.
I jokingly put him.
Oh, I thought you said you put him in.
It was but that's the thing. I mean, the fact that he scored 2 goals is, for me, I just see as if you play to his strengths. Like, let's not lie, he may not be the Cavani he was, I guess, 5-10 years ago, but if you play to his strengths, he will supply. So I think, yeah, they brought him on and they just did what, or they United provided what Cavani needed, really, and he bagged the goals.
Understandable. I can agree with that as well. I think everybody kind of thought he was a bit of a joke signing. At the very big, not a joke signing, because I think you can't really argue with his pedigree and what he can offer. But let me go to Sam next. And I'm going to flip it for you and say, is this a problem with teams like Southampton? and why they can't. You know, I think when you watch games like this and seeing them 2-0 up, playing so well in the first half, and then bottling it like that, and then obviously losing the game 3-2. Is it that kind of issue why teams like Southampton can't really climb up the table because they're putting in performances like that in parts of the game? Do you reckon?
Yeah, you know, Man United have a history of always making good comebacks in it. So obviously, when Southampton went 2-0 up, I'm sure they pretty much had that in the back of their minds. And it's you can't really tell what it comes down to really because it happens so often. But probably a mentality thing. United seem like a more experienced team, so it just didn't work out for them. I was upset because I was thinking good 2-0 up and just let them get back so easily. Like the goals weren't even amazingly special. Do you know what I mean? Like. So, yeah, I think it just happens. It's a part of the game. You're on mute, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you're muted.
Sorry, guys. I can back that as well. I was just going to say, let's just go straight on to the next topic. Yeah, just before we move on, my thoughts on that one, as I said before, yeah, bottle jobs. I was not happy with Southampton at all. They started the season so well. They've been playing some very good football, and they showed that in the first half. But then in the second half, anyway, let's just put that to the back of the file. But let's move on, guys. And obviously, as we mentioned on our socials, that our first topic is going to be Diogo Jota's impacts for Liverpool, and what he's actually brought to that Liverpool side. I believe with Felix, I'll come to Felix first with this actually, because I know he's mentioned this quite a few times in terms of Liverpool and how they are, and you know the kind of football they've been playing over the last couple of years. And Felix, you always mention that because they've got a pretty solid team now, they're in like a prime position in the window to just kind of pick off any players that are just kind of doing well and just kind of add them to their ranks. Do you think that that's exactly what we've seen with Jota here?
Yeah, I would say so. But at the same time, obviously, with what he has shown so far for Liverpool, it's like, I mean, you got to put some respect to his name, because we have seen with Jota over the last, I think pretty much last season really is when I really started to pay attention to him. It's how good of a player he is, how quick he is on the ball, off the ball, his movement in and around the box. But I feel like this year in particular, under Klopp, he has sort of switched into this lethal, potent kind of player in the box. He's just like, I mean, how many goals he's got now? Is it 9 goals in all comps? And he's only played like 10 matches or so, and he's already flying. So yeah, he complements the way Liverpool are trying to play right now so well. It's like you can literally pick anyone out of the Liverpool front three, slot someone else, and then they'll do the exact same job. For me, I feel like it's testament to Klopp and that system, really, how well Diogo Jota has fitted.
Yeah, he's definitely slotted in very well. He's literally just taken that team like a duck to water. But Nigel, I wanted to come to you next because I'm looking at Jota as a signing and I'm thinking, is he the type of signing where, you know, if you have a Mane that's injured or a Salah that's injured, obviously you can just look at the numbers that he's got, you know, sometimes coming off the bench. He seems like the type of guy that, you, as Felix said, you can literally just remove one and just put him in. But do you think that's the only role that he's going to be playing for Liverpool as he signed for them? Is he just going to be that type of person that's sort of, I think the right word to use is he an understudy, or could he very well become like a number one player for the team?
Initially when they signed him, I thought that was what he was going to be, but his goals, the way he's slotted in, like Flex said, it's a perfect match. It's like just adding to a jigsaw puzzle. We saw it with Man City Liverpool, big game. Everyone was expecting Firmino to get dropped and Jota to start. He ended up going with all 4 of them. So that's a testament to Jota coming into a new side, not had much preseason, but slotted in. When they first made the signing, at first I was thinking, like, it makes sense because I've watched him with Wolves and the way he plays. He presses high. He's young. Like, he's got goals in him, but like I don't know why. I won't say I'm not surprised that he's scoring goals because he's in a better side with a team that makes loads of opportunities, and it's just making him even look more better because all he has to do is slot the ball in the back of the net. Really and truly, he hasn't really had to change his game. He's still pressing. He's still naturally good on the ball, and like Flex said as well, he's nippy, like he's fast. So it suits perfectly. It's a win-win for Liverpool basically and for Jota. So long may it continue, man. I think he's class, and not to stress that the fact that he's only 23 as well. Like it's a bargain. It's a bargain.
Crazy. Let me jump to Sam next. Do you think, right now looking at the Premier League, can you think of maybe 2 or 3 other teams that could have done with Jota right now, or do you think Liverpool was the best place for him to go, or only place for him to go?
Right now it looks like Liverpool's definitely the best team for him. Even in some of his post-match interviews, he said, like, I'm playing for the best team I've ever played for in my career. So he seems happy there, and I'm pretty sure he knew about the system before he went there. But straight up, I feel like a team like Arsenal could have done nice with a striker like that easily. And then maybe even, is it Sheffield United at the bottom of the table?
They're not climbing anywhere.
They could have done with someone like Jota, but obviously I don't think he would have been happy going there. I think he would have rather stayed at Wolves. But yeah, man, there's plenty of strikers that would have benefited from his style of play and his attacking mentality. So yeah,
I can understand that too. Very true. I'm jumping to Ralph next. In terms of Diogo Jota as a player, and what you've seen of him, obviously from Wolves. And now to Liverpool, do you think he actually has the attributes or the ability to possibly be one of the best wingers in the league?
Well, initially, I thought he was just going to play down the middle. I reckon that role would suit him. But I see him, when he's cutting it, he cuts in a lot from that left side, from that inner. He's almost not like wide. He's almost like a 10 sort of, but plays on the left side. So I think I'd like to see him play down the middle, especially seeing as, Firmino now plays CDM. There's room up there for him to push up.
CDM.
One of the best wingers. He'll be up there as a good, but I reckon he'll get more goals playing down through the middle, down the front. One of the best wingers. That's hard. I don't know, because there's so many wingers, but strikers as well. There are a lot, but in a team like that, creating opportunities, I think he'll get more out of that team. Perhaps straight down the middle. Even though I do think he's still potent from that left hand side. So I can't really answer that. I don't have an answer for you there for the first time.
No, I can understand that. I wanted to give the final word to you, because obviously this is one of your own, as one of your players, and you have the pleasure of watching him week in, week out. So having that in mind, what do you think is like? What's your favorite thing about Jota as a player? And is he one that you would like to see? When the likes of Mane and Salah are fit, do you think he's one that can stake a claim to be one of the first names on the team sheet, or is it still going to be a Mane and Salah show all the time whenever they're available?
Honestly, I've fallen completely head over heels. When we were doing our big sort of summer rant about who we wanted to sign, the only name coming out of people's mouths was Thiago, and it was just Thiago. And then suddenly, next day after all of that has gone crazy, we're hearing we've got Jota for 45, and everyone's sort of gone, okay, finally some competition for the front three, finally a chance to sort of refresh them, because it's been such an over-reliance on the front three for years now, that to have someone come in and properly compete with them is fantastic. So now we've already had people like Origi, who you saw the other night against Atalanta, really struggled and looked completely different, whereas Jota comes into this front three. It doesn't matter which position you stick him in, he excels. Sticking with 4 up there, having replaced Mane, having replaced Salah, having replaced Bobby. Everywhere he has just been fantastic. His energy is through the roof. I feel like I just never see the man stop running. His finishing has been absolutely fantastic. His link-up play with even people like Shaqiri as well has just been extreme. And, we were all thinking our summer signing, that go-to that we have to get sorted is someone like Thiago, who so far has played a game and a half of football and spent most of it in the medical room. This guy and scored 9 in 14 or something stupid, and he's turned the screw for us in a lot of games. He came on against Arsenal, he got the job done. Sorry, boys. He's completely excelled when he went away to Atalanta, and he's made our attacking threat much more of a problem, because it's now sort of oh great, we've not got money against it. We've got Jota. You know, it's whereas before when people heard that one of our front three links was missing, people thought we were going to fall apart. I would have spent a lot more than 45 if I'd known he was going to bolster our attack like this. He has just been class, and God bless Michael Edwards for finding him for 45. That is how.
Yeah, there's no need to apologize to us for him scoring, man. It happens, isn't it? I think we're kind of used to that now. But it's final word on me with Jota. A player that I've rated even watching him at Wolves last season. I think a lot of the time Adama Traore gets a lot of the headlines, but I think a lot of people miss exactly what that little man could do in the Wolves side and what he was doing down that left-hand side. And funny enough, I always said that he kind of reminded me a lot of Sadio Mane, which is kind of funny. It's just, and I say that because of the amount of like the energy that he supplies on the wing, and just he's just so quick and very fast, and his decision making just seems to be instant, just like that. It's brilliant to see. But anyway, we are going to move on to the next topic. I'm looking down there because I'm seeing. I thought we just conceded a penalty, but we hadn't. The next topic, ironically, is going to be a player that's actually playing right now. And it's about Adama Traore. And I wanted to ask the question: should he still be at Wolves? Should he currently still be a Wolves player, or should he be, elsewhere? And I want to go to Nigel first with this one because I often thought of Traore as, someone who could very well, after seeing them for the last, let's say 2-3 seasons now, someone who could very well be an important player in a very big team. When he kind of broke through and things were working for him, a lot of people were obviously talking about end product. For me, the only thing I wanted to say about end product was his finishing isn't great, but I thought he had end products when it came to crossing and all that kind of stuff. And I know he was linked with a move to, Man City and various other teams, but the transfer window came up and it seemed like no one wanted him, or no one wanted to go in for him. But the question is, do you think Wolves currently, not even currently, but do you think Wolves is the place for him to be for the near future, or should he even be there right now? That's all.
I think, yeah, because at one point, if anything, if Liverpool were going to sign a player from Wolves, I would have thought it would have been Adama Traore. But when I think about it, don't get me wrong, he's got assists, he can run with the ball and he causes havoc. But in those big teams, in order for you to come and break into their starting 11, you've got to be scoring goals. And obviously, example of Jota's doing that. And obviously he's starting. If he was to go to a big team, he'll be on the bench. Don't get me wrong, he'll come on and still have an impact, but is it really worth coming on as an impact player when he hasn't even really been starting for Wolves this season, really and truly. I don't even know what that's about, to be honest. But I don't know. He's a bit of a hit and miss because I think the belief is there from Nuno Espirito, but at the same time, he can go missing as well. So I think he still needs to find the consistency. I think one season is not enough in order for him to nick a move to a big club per se. I think if he can do it again this season, then who knows? Maybe he might nick a big move. But if he does, in order for him to be knocking on the starting 11, he needs goals for sure. In my opinion.
Agreed. Definitely agreed there. I wanted to move on to Sam next with this one, and this one isn't really a question of whether he should or shouldn't be at Arsenal. Arsenal? My head's gone. He should or shouldn't be at Wolves, but do you think I kind of wanted to talk about his whole thing with Mali and Spain, because obviously, as we always mention during review and everything, you kind of get to hear when players can like change their international allegiance with a European club to change it to an African club, and he was one. I remember a year ago that changed his allegiance from Spain to Mali. And obviously there was this whole joke surrounding the fact that there were 3 Adama Traores in the team. So it was like, how the heck are you going to differentiate between which one? And then all of a sudden, the international break comes around now, and I'm hearing news of, the Mali team were waiting for Adama to kind of join them in their during the international break. But they literally waited for him not to turn up, and only to find out that he was actually chilling with the Spain squad and had joined Spain instead. Now, listening to something like this, obviously we talk about how it's important to rep where you come from and represent Africa and bring more clout to Africa, that being your heritage. But it sounds a bit unfortunate to say, but do you think that's an attitude problem there to see what he did to Mali, or do you think he's just chasing glory, or what do you even put that down to? Because to change your allegiances quite, publicly, and then all of a sudden you just don't even turn up when the team's traveling. It's like,
obviously, from what I've seen, yeah, I just think that everyone has a different reason in it. Because obviously you can say that maybe he doesn't have a personal attachment to Mali. Maybe he's grown up in Spain all his life and he just doesn't have a personal attachment to the culture. So he just thought playing for Spain was the better choice for him. There's an option 2 where he thought Spain were a way better team than Mali. There's a better opportunity to win trophies. So let me just go play for Spain. You see what I'm saying? So it's difficult to say. Like, obviously, no one will actually know the reason, but of course it is frustrating because a top player like Adama Traore.
Are any of those reasons wrong, though?
No, I can't say they're wrong. So,
Kirk, sorry to interrupt you. I saw Kirk. Kirk, how do you feel about that, though? Like,
look, I can only talk about the fact that I think it speaks volumes about an attitude problem, if I'm honest. That what he did in that situation to, quite clearly say I'm gonna play for Mali, and then all of a sudden just not turn up when the team's traveling, like who do you think you are, kind of thing. It's a bit mad. So in that respect, yeah, I can respect, what Sam is saying. You wanting to play for a certain team because you probably understand there a lot more. You probably connect with that country a lot more. But yeah, that's kind of all I got to say on that. But Sam, you carry on with your point. That's me, boy. That's what I think.
No, I just want to say, obviously, it's a little bit frustrating because if you get a player like Adama Traore playing for Mali, Premier League player, speaks volumes. You know what I mean? It's the same. It was the same with the situation with Bukayo Saka playing for Nigeria. It brings up awareness that, you know what, I can be a Premier League player and I can go and play for my native country. I don't necessarily have to play for one of these European teams. If you look at the situation with a player like going to England instead of Nigeria, Nigeria have won probably 3 international trophies since England last won, or I don't even know where. Yeah, the last one they won was 1966, and Nigeria won within that time. So, it's like, what you going there for, kind of thing. And the last 3 international games that Spain had, he was on the bench for all of them. 2 of them, he came off the bench, and 1 of them, he didn't even play. So this is going to be a regular thing, unfortunately, for Adama Traore. And the reason why I think that is because I do think he's a little bit overrated. I won't lie to you. I was agreeing with Nigel when he was speaking, because if you look at last season, he didn't even get into the top 20 assists for last season. Didn't even get into top 20 key passes of last season. And that is something you need a winger to do. Of course, you need him to score goals, but those assists and those key passes are crucial. And if you're not even getting into the top 20, why do you deserve to play for a bigger club? You see what I'm saying? So for me, hopefully he does well for Spain, but I really think they're going to have better options.
I think it's a great point you made there, because I remember last season I was saying the exact same thing about how people are kind of looking at Pepe and calling him a flop, yet him and Adama Traore, who everyone was kind of hyping and saying that he's an amazing winger and everything, they had the exact same numbers. So I was like, how can you look at one, say one's a flop? But anyway, that's just football for you. I want to go to Ralph next quickly. In terms of Traore, obviously we mentioned that should he be playing for a bigger club, but just hypothetically speaking, let's say if he was a free agent right now, would you be able to name me, let me say, like 3 or 4 teams in the UK or outside of the UK, anywhere in the world, that could benefit from his services at the moment? Kind of like, even in like a Champions League sphere, any of those teams there, like looking at them since the beginning of the season, that you think, yeah, if Adama Traore was in the side, he could actually make an impact?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of a. It depends which team is lacking that sort of playing style. So I don't know, or which team plays that playing style and can sort of benefit from it. I don't know. I think maybe a team like Atalanta. I'm not too sure how they're doing in the league, but Champions League, they're just so exciting to watch. Especially last season, how they were creating chances, scoring goals. I think maybe that's somewhere he could develop. He could be maybe relied on a bit more. Somewhere to utilize his abilities. But you know how you were saying, how Sam was saying, he didn't get into the top 20 assists, top 20 key passes. As a winger, sometimes what Adama might be doing is bringing attention to himself whilst he's on the pitch. So he might be the reason that there is now space on the other side of the pitch that you can utilize, because now the left back's onto him, the CDM's onto him, the centre back's onto him. So they've all shifted because they know what he can do. They're threatened by sort of the what he could do. Do you know what I mean? His unpredictability. Like, so I think that's not something that's measured by stats. Like how you draw players out of position, create space for others, so that the ball can be worked or opportunities can be created by someone elsewhere. Because that could very well be a tactic. Adama just run with the ball.
It looks like that's all he does, to be fair.
Once you're dragged, once people have dragged you out, once you've dragged people out of position, just find that whatever pass it is, that person there is who you trust to create. So I don't know. But off the top of my head, obviously to Kirk's question, I'll tell you, bro, like I'd have him at Arsenal. But I think maybe the reason why we notice Adama more than say like Jota or what Jota was doing is because he's freakish. Like he's stupid quick. He's just menacing.
He's explosive, man.
Explosive. So that's
faster fibers.
exciting to watch. Do you get me? Or a team.
Atalanta's a shout though. Atalanta is a shout.
I do think that would be.
They're a good side as well.
Who?
Atalanta.
Atalanta. It's a shout.
Yeah.
I think he play well though. Hey, it makes sense. I got you there. It's true, and that point you made about it being a presence game rather than just a stats game. I think that's a very, very true point. Something that we probably all didn't think about in that moment. So yeah, definitely agreed there. Felix, I know sometimes we talk about Adama Traore a lot of the time whenever we're about to line up against Wolves. When I say we, I mean Arsenal and everything. But I think I'm the one that made the statement. I remember last year when we played him, I always say, Adama Traore, if you can keep him silent for 70 minutes in the game, you're done. Because he's literally potent for about 70 minutes, and then that's it. Like it just seems like he burns out. He starts making dumb passes. He doesn't look as quick anymore. Do you think this statement is still true, or is it ever been true? Really?
I think if you look at the way he plays and with how explosive he is and stuff like that, he may tend to use sort of his pace a lot early on in the game, where to try and get balls in behind, get crosses in and stuff. So maybe I'm not gonna sit here and say yes, because I don't really watch Wolves enough to watch him play that often to be able to give a real sort of outlook on that. But I think if I want to go back to the original question to say whether or not he should have moved to a bigger club, I think coming from one of the biggest clubs in the world in Barcelona to sort of, I think where he started at Barca, he made one appearance with them. I mean, arguably he was young back then, but we're seeing differently with Ansu Fati now. But coming from Barcelona to Aston Villa and then to Middlesbrough and now with Wolves, I think the running theme really with that, for me, I feel like maybe one of the reasons why he may have left Barca, maybe it was for game time, but arguably I feel like it's one of his biggest criticisms, not with his end product. Yes, he's got the pace. Yes, he's got the power. Yes, he's got the explosivity, if that's even a word. But take that out of his game, and for me, I feel like the question that you can ask is, what does he consistently offer other than that? Really, and it's, for me, I feel like it's very limited if you take those attributes out. Yes, those are the attributes that make him the player he is, but I feel like he needs to learn a little bit more under sort of the coaching style of a manager who can bring the best out of him. Because yes, he does have the qualities to be a top winger, but I feel like right now his style or his wing play is lacking in a sense. Maybe a manager like Espirito Santo can get that out of him. And we are seeing that because he is improving in his end products. When we watch him, he is improving. I feel like he may need, I think Samuel was in Nigel that mentioned that, may need one more season maybe at Wolves to really see how he develops, because he's still young. Bear in mind, he's only what 20, 23, 24, which is crazy because he's been around for a while. But I think he just needs a bit more time.
Agreed. Before I go to Rue quickly, I've got a question for Rue. But Sam, you look like you were about to say something. Just
I forgot, I'm not gonna lie.
No, but if you remember, just let us know, and you can come back through that. But moving on to Rue next. Now, it's not a joke question. I just genuinely want to find out what he thinks about this, and I just want to hear his answer, really. But in the interview last year, we heard that Adama Traore says that he does not lift weights at all. Like, you look at him, you see how jacked he is. But he kind of spoke about how, he's like his family, the way they are, they've always been known to put on muscle mass really quickly. So he doesn't actually do any weight training or anything like that. And it's just genetics. Do you believe that? Or do you think he's an animal in the gym?
I want to know what this kid's having for breakfast, to be honest. I was very confused when I saw that. Like, I think we've all seen the picture where he's just in one of them training vests and he's like flexing side on, and it's like, really? Come on, just tell the truth. Like, I know there's not many people his shape because of there's not that many people who want to add that physicality to their game as such. But I've never lifted weights ever. Come on, maybe someone needs to do a study into the genetics. I don't know, but yeah, there's no doubt the guy's athleticism is probably his biggest attribute. And I will definitely have Traore at Arsenal.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that, to be fair. He ain't better, well, numbers wise maybe, but there's a difference in it. Dynamics. It's all dynamics. But yeah, no, Rue, I agree. We all agree. I think I ended up having the exact same response. I was like, surely, come on. But yeah, I mean, Adama Traore is very true. A dynamic player, regardless of what you think of him. I think he's very exciting to watch because, as Ralph said, I think that word he used, he's a freak. He's a freak of nature. I just. That level of athleticism, you see, for me, even how quickly he moves and how it seems like his fast twitch fibers are just instant like that. You normally see that in track racing. It's crazy, but yeah, exciting to watch nonetheless. Anyway, on to the final topic before we move on to the next segment. I know the next segment we're not going to have much to talk about, but it's this question, and it's I think a lot of people, anyone that's seen this question, would be like, what do you mean by that? But it's Wayne Rooney, his appointment as Derby boss. Fair. I should say possible.
Is he actually the boss? Sorry though. Yeah, because I was going to ask, has he actually been appointed boss?
So what?
Oh, so it was official.
Yeah. What happened was interim. However, they did say that they're considering giving him the permanent role. So that's what I was literally about to say. I should have said possible appointment. But the fact that it's even a question is that a fair thing to look at. And I asked that question just to put a bit of context on it. I asked that question because you look at other managers, who've been grafting in the Premier League. There's two managers in mind I've even forgotten. I know their face, and I'm hoping you lot can give me the name. But is his name Chris? Okay, he was like an ex-QPR manager. He's a black
Chris Ramsey.
Chris Ramsey. That's one, and the ex, I think it was West Brom manager, Darren Moore as well. You got two names there, and I've heard people talk about Chris Ramsey, calling him, I'm not trying to make this a race thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not even about that. But you've got people who have talked about Chris Ramsey as probably one of the best football minds that they've ever worked with. But, you probably ask someone else and they'll be like, really? Chris Ramsey, QPR, he didn't even last. Like, how? But I just feel as though, the art of managing is being removed and like being taken away from what you can actually bring to the game mentally, and more becoming, giving it to, a legend or someone who's been in the game for a while. And it just seems like, especially in this country, you look at the appointment of Lampard at Derby. Derby or Derby? Did I say that right? Derby? Derby? Which one is it?
Derby.
Derby. Sorry. You look at Lampard being appointed there, and even this whole talk of Wayne Rooney. Obviously, you've got two ex-England internationals, but then you've got people who have been grafted to become managers for so long. I'm going to give Sam. I'm going to go to Sam first, because I kind of want you to shout out your documentary, because obviously you looked at the representation of black or BAME figures in the boardroom. So you've got managers and then chairmen and all that kind of stuff included. But I want to go to Sam first, and I just wanted to put a bit of context on it, because you look at those kind of managers, and as I said, I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but why is it that it seems like the managerial job is more being given to ex-players, and it seems like if you're an ex-player, then you've got more of a chance. And sorry to say, if you're a more ex-white or ex-European footballer, you've got more of a quick entry into a managerial role rather than people who have been grafting. I'm not saying Chris Ramsey should be appointed at Juventus. That's not the point I'm making here. But to not even get a look in certain jobs in the Championship. Someone like Chris Hughton, who obviously he's got the Nottingham Forest job, but he was out for a while. And I'm sure he was trying to get in, but he was out for a long time. But you've got Wayne Rooney, player. I think he was a player coach for a little bit, and all of a sudden, boom, interim manager, and he's being boosted up. So just that question to you, just to get your thoughts on it. Do you think that's fair, and putting the context on it as well? Do you think it's a fair thing that's happening in football right now?
I think when it comes to just hiring ex-players in general, it just makes sense, because you'd rather have somebody teach you about you'd rather have somebody that's played the game teach you about the game. It's with everything, It's like just having a teacher in school. You'd rather them experience that field. Like, for example, when we studied journalism at uni, we had teachers that were already in the industry teaching us about the industry. It just works better that way, rather than someone that's just who hasn't played the game, who doesn't know the consequences of playing the game, or the toughness that the game comes with, to just tell you to do this and to do that. Do you know what I mean? You kind of won't have that much respect for them. That's why a lot of these managers that you see today have obviously played the game, and all the young ones coming up now are all ex-footballers. Derby County are obviously doing the same thing they did with Lampard, giving Wayne Rooney a run as a manager. When it comes to the race thing, obviously it's frustrating, because you do see, managers like Darren Moore and who was the other one that you said, Chris Ramsey, who are on the sidelines, who would do amazing in these type of roles. A lot of the time you see black managers not necessarily managing the best of teams, so it doesn't necessarily give them that level, that foundation to even show their qualities to that extent. If you look at managers like Pep Guardiola, for example, he hasn't really managed a bad team. You know what I mean? He's been putting aside with a lot of money, able to buy top class players. Would he be able to survive with that QPR side that Chris Ramsey had? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's more of I think the conversation is not necessarily about giving more black managers opportunities. It's giving them more opportunities at top teams where they can actually have a foundation to grow a good side. Because from what I've seen, I haven't seen black managers managing top teams. I can't recall one off the top of my head. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. But Chris Hughton's gone from Brighton to Nottingham Forest. No disrespect to Nottingham Forest, but they're not Premier League quality. You see what I'm saying? And someone like that should be in the Premier League. And when you see managers getting sacked and all this stuff, these guys are not even considered a lot of the time. You look at Thierry Henry. Yeah, he got a huge job at Monaco, but then now he's in the MLS. Usually, when they say players go to the MLS, you don't come back to England. You don't come back to Europe. Obviously, it happens for a few, but you don't necessarily come back to manage or to play in Europe. So it's frustrating. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. I know there's been conversations about the Rooney rule, where I think you have at least 3 black candidates to be considered for the job for each position, or for a manager's position. You need to have at least 3 black candidates considered. I don't know how effective that is in today's game so far, but yeah, that's definitely something that could obviously help the game. But yeah, like I was saying before, I think the main problem is that we're not giving enough black managers opportunities, like the likes of Pep or Frank Lampard even going to Chelsea, things like that. They're not getting enough opportunities like that to manage teams with a great foundation that can at least get into the likes of the top 6 or the top 4, and that's where the problem is for me.
No, I fully agree with that. And I can totally back that. Just before we move on, I'm just giving just a quick time warning. We've got 15 minutes left to hit that hour mark. No, not for you. Just a heads up, basically, just for everybody. But I'm going to go to Nigel next. And a quick question to you in terms of, we talk about managers not being given the chance to, grow in certain areas. You look at Sol Campbell, obviously, an ex-footballer as well. He's been there, he's done that, an England legend. And he comes into a job looking for a football job, and he gets Notts County. But then, a Lampard, a Rooney, all of those guys come out and they're getting higher positions and all that kind of stuff. Does this question still stand? And is it more catered towards, I don't want to make it a racial thing, but do you have to consider that, basically?
Yeah, as much as we don't want to make it that kind of thing, it is though, isn't it? Like, you look at Paul Ince, you look at Sol Campbell, like the list can go on. Darren Moore got didn't he keep West Brom up?
In amazing fashion.
And then they were top 2 in the championship. And then the minute they had a little blip, they got rid of him. And it's like, what? Like, and then Slaven Bilic is coming and he gets all the praise. Like, Slaven Bilic is the great. Don't get me wrong, Slaven Bilic has been around. He's an old head. But really and truly, it was Darren Moore that got them into position. Like, I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Harvey Barnes was badding it up for West Brom. And if it was under Darren Moore, like, you're thinking, rah. So the ability is there. It's just the opportunity. Chris Hughton's another one. Like, I've been singing his praises from day. Like, Newcastle, he got them promoted, he got sacked. Norwich, he got them promoted, got sacked. Brighton got them promoted, got sacked. Like, no disrespect to Graham Potter, like, they're playing good football, but let's be honest, like, the excuse that they got rid of him was because he was too defensive. They got to a FA Cup semi-final and they got relegated. Like, come on, man. What else does he have to do? Like, you can't win, innit? You can't win. It's a sticky situation. It's a shame because, like, it's like you deem black players as just players, but they don't have the ability to coach on a top level. But hopefully one day that narrative will change, innit?
Understandable. Felix, looking at the question as well with Rooney's appointment as Derby boss, is that something that you look at as we were talking about with Nigel and the situation with black managers and everything like that? Do you really think they even went out to sort of like look at this person or look at that person and consider their pedigree? Because at the end of the day, a lot of the time you're quick to remember that a team has had a blip with certain managers, but then, as we said with Darren Moore, you don't remember. Just he's a character as well. I remember watching him on the sidelines with West Brom whenever, I think it was I'm not too sure which game it was, but I remember there was a game where West Brom literally needed a goal and they scored at the last minute of the game. And he was just taking the knee, and as soon as the ball went in, he just got up and turned around and walked off. Like, he didn't even celebrate or anything like that. And a lot of the time you just think that, like, people like this, they just need a chance kind of thing. But looking at history and everything that's kind of happened over the last few years, again, the same question to you: why does it seem like an ex-footballer who's played for England is in a much better position? Sorry, a white ex-footballer that's played for England is in a much better position to get these top jobs rather than a black ex-footballer to be considered for something like this?
Well, look, I think that kind of question can be debated for days, years, eons. It kind of makes you put things in perspective in terms of how, like, societal and everything like that. For me, I feel like maybe just in like taking the race aside, I just feel like even someone who had even been in a managerial position longer, Rooney has never managed a team. Rooney has never really been an assistant manager for a team before. Yes, he's had a player manager role or something like that. Why could you not bring someone in for Rooney to learn under before you're giving him that job? Maybe yes, Rooney he's won everything in the bar in the World Cup, but he's won everything there is to win club football. So maybe the sort of the idolization, whatever, comes in that sense where you got when you look at people like Lampard, you look at Pep, even retiring at Barca and then taking the managerial strings pretty much straight away. It's that kind of fantasy is there almost, where a player that's just come out of the game, so they have fresh ideas, new different perspective of how things work on the pitch, so they kind of go with that. But it is a question, like, why don't these managers like Darren Moores or Chris Ramsey's getting these why aren't they getting these opportunities? For me, if I was to give an answer, I don't know, because you don't want to make it about race and all that, but then it's like that has to be thought about, and that's a much better societal issue.
Yeah, agreed. Fully agreed. I wanted to ask Ralph before we come to Ralph a question. Do you think it's a publicity thing? Having Rooney in your dugout is going to pull more crowds, going to pull more people to the stadium, rather than Darren Moore or Chris Ramsey, Rooney, ex-footballer, ex-England legend, blah, blah, blah. Or, sorry, not ex-England legend, but England legend and all that kind of stuff. Do you think sometimes it comes down to publicity?
Nah, see, I think they'd rather get into the Premier League than they'd rather have managed to get into the Premier League than say have Rooney to bring in fans or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't think it's about publicity, because the priority for a team like Derby, I think, especially coming close to promotion and losing in playoffs the last few seasons, the priority is the Premier League. And maybe they think Rooney's the one that can help them get there. But in terms of black managers or whatever not getting opportunities, does not baffle me. Nothing baffles me. Why would black managers get opportunities in a country that was never built for us? Like, it's not baffling. Like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, nothing. It doesn't surprise me. That is how it is. I hope it's not like that forever. But it's not something that's shocking. Like, real talk, how old are we? We're all like above 23 at least. Like, we know how it works. We know the way. There's nothing for that should be confusing to us with regards to a topic like this. Like, nothing should be confusing. We know why. We know why. The only question is, like, how do you go about fixing it, changing it? But I think at the same time, we are part of a generation that is so aware, and it fights for, like we're so aware. We don't allow fabrication and information to be blocked from us. We have ample amount of information, ways of going about to get it. So I think it will change eventually, but it won't do now because we're not the generation that's in charge at the moment. So I think when we're at a certain point where we're of age, we will start seeing what we want to happen now happening, but obviously in the future. But like, going to your point of, so say, I don't know, say if Darren Moore or Sol Campbell has he won a Premier League?
Sol Campbell?
Yeah, unbeaten.
Yeah. So he's got trophies, career, like, solidified, legend. Did you get me? Whereas there's a man that also played that has not achieved anything he's achieved, but he's a manager. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's getting the top jobs. It's not baffling, because at the end of the day, not to make it about race, but I am actually whatever in it. At the end of the day, white skin is gives you more credibility than the Premier League, and that's just how it is.
Agreed. I can understand where you're coming from there, because as you said, you don't want to make it about that, but at a certain point, you got to stop saying.
Time, also, to play devil's advocate, from where Sam was saying, Pep hasn't really managed a bad team. Could he keep like a Norwich team up with the resources that he's got? That argument can be played with could he win a treble with Barcelona? Could Chris Hughton win a treble with Barcelona? Obviously we won't know, because the man ain't getting them opportunities there. At the same time,
Yeah.
Like, it's just a question that can be thrown back and forth. Nothing has to be fair. We're not in a world where nothing is ever fair, really and truly, even with our own community. So I'm not really baffled, but I'm at a point where it don't upset me anymore. It's just how it is.
Understood. Understood with that, Ralph. Rue, I'm just going to give you the final word on this, and this might be a bit of an uncomfortable question for you, but just answer it best as you can. Obviously, you're probably the only one of a different ethnic background, or not ethnic, but a different background to all of us. You can trace all of our roots back to Africa, and obviously, quite clearly, the rest of us are all black, and you're white, of course. Do you think we have, looking at it the way we're looking at it, do you think it's a fair point that we're making, that we are obviously saying that we're not trying to make it about race, but unfortunately we kind of have to go there? Do you think there's a point in that, or do you think we're just maybe doing what a lot of the time we're accused of doing, which is making a point that, we're not getting opportunities when the opportunities are there, kind of thing?
I think you have every right to be annoyed at black managers not getting the opportunities that white managers do. And I see that when you were just mentioning Sol Campbell there. We're seemingly giving out managerial jobs based on, player merit and everything. Okay. Why are you giving, Wayne Rooney the job for a couple of Premier League titles and a Champions League trophy, and not giving someone who's actually had a crack as a manager? Sol Campbell, when he got to a Champions League final, he won a Premier League trophy. I think that point is perfectly valid, but I think at the same time, I think that things have moved on from where they were 15, 20 years ago, and I don't think enough of an effort is being made to sort of accommodate that kind of change. I don't feel like, I think some places are more behind than others. I think I've been watching a lot of, because obviously you talk about where we trace ourselves back to. Well, I watch a hell of a lot of Scottish football, and I'm seeing the first black manager in what feels like forever in Kilmarnock. And it's 2020, and we're just sort of seeing that now, and it feels like we're sort of behind. Like, I don't know. It's difficult to explain, but I do agree that I think more of an effort needs to be made to, we're still unable to. We've got an openly, actively playing gay footballer. We're still seemingly preferring white ex-players for managerial jobs than we are, or they're getting sort of the bigger role in some eyes than. Because where's Sol Campbell managed? He's what, League One, couple of teams like Southend and things like that. And he was sort of part of that sort of 2006 England group, and yet some of the teammates he played with are getting, the second biggest job in Scotland for Gerrard at Rangers. You're getting people getting a chance at Championship with a playoff competing team and going into Premier League. I think there is that cynical sort of issue that needs to be addressed, and I think it needs to be handled very delicately. I would agree if you think that I agree with your belief that sort of black managers aren't given as much of a chance, because I don't feel like I've seen it work as well. I know we're on a time limit. I'm stumbling a bit, but I don't think I've seen it develop properly for 10, 15 years. I think I've seen it sort of in a sense that, right, let's give black managers a chance, but we'll just give you the little teams, yeah? I think more needs to be done to sort of... Does this kind of make sense? I feel like I'm stumbling a bit, but yeah, I think...
Not understandable, yeah.
Be sort of made, because I don't feel like I've seen enough being done to sort of actively promote the idea of getting more black former players or black men into managerial positions. I don't think the issue has been raised enough, and I see that with all kinds of issues across football. But I think this is one that's this is one that's sort of gone under the radar way too long, and we're kind of seeing players that we watched grow up get some pretty decent gigs now, and yet we're not seeing that evenly distributed when there were plenty of black players that were successful that we watched while growing up. That's my main concern is, it's not been handled well at all. But it's very, very difficult to sort of get it 100% every single time. But I think to back up that point, I saw something that I think it was Andy Cole that said it, where he mentioned that he's come to a point where he accepted a long time ago that he was never going to be able to manage and get into managerial jobs because it's just too tough. So he's in a position now where he's just trying to basically empower the young ones coming up so they can push those barriers, because he feels like it's not something that he's going to be able to do. And I think that just puts and sheds a lot of perspective on, Andy Cole, successful striker at Manchester United, probably one of the best strike forces United have had with Cole and York. But he's kind of coming out to say that, and it kind of says everything you need to know about the situation. But yeah, guys, thank you for that. That was a very deep part of the podcast, and I appreciate everyone for sharing their thoughts. I'm gonna do something that we've never done before. I think I honestly do not think Chelsea versus Spurs is even worth talking about. Like, I don't even want to bring it up because, honestly speaking, I can't say anything about the game. All I can say is that it was absolutely dead boring. It finished 0-0. They both took a point. They're both still near the top of the table, and that's all that can really be said about it. Like, it's not even important. I can't lie to you guys. I don't know if anyone had anything burning that they wanted to mention, but honestly speaking, I think there isn't really much more to say about the game. Two teams who couldn't afford to lose. That's it.
Yeah, it was stalemate from the beginning to the end. Probably one of the most boring games I've seen this season. But it doesn't. Anyone that kind of has anything that they want to say on everything that we've spoken about today, please let us know in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. But as always, to end the podcast, as we mentioned, make sure you head over to @RevealFooty on Twitter and on Instagram to check out all the latest on African footballers playing all around the world. People popping their heads in now saying hi. But yeah, we appreciate all of you guys for joining us again. As we mentioned every week, that we're going to be coming at you every week with these podcasts as well. So if you've got anything that you particularly want us to talk about or anything that you want us to share, make sure you can come on Twitter and DM us or leave it in the comment section as well. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Keep supporting us. We love you all, and we'll see you next week.